Welcome to another video in this series. Last video, we went over identifying different application exploits. In this video, we're going to take a look at application hardening deployment techniques. And for our first and only exercise, we're going to dive into securing application development, deployment, and automation concepts. So whenever an application is being developed, right, it's essential to follow some secure application development practices. So secure application development usually ensures that the application would meet all the requirements defined by the company's policy, right? So you have to make sure you curate the best possible software development environment, development, testing, staging, production, QA, right? Software assurance risks, design errors, ever-changing tech environments, malicious insider software assurance tool, right? It's just so much. I'm going to try to keep this talking again to a minimum and focus mainly on the lab here, but provisioning and deprovisioning, integrity management, secure coding techniques, normalization, obfuscation, camouflage, store procedures, code reuse, dead code, server-side versus client-side execution and validation, memory management, use of third-party libraries and software development kits or SDKs, right? Data exposure, and open web application security projects, right? Or OWASP, which we've used on another video. That could go into a lot of different things, software diversity, right? Automation and scripting, which we went over in a previous video as well. Now, where we're going to take a dive into our lab is taking a look at if-else statements. So they're mainly used for making a decision, right? And therefore, they're known as decision-making statements. So when you have to choose from two given choices, the if-else statements, they usually work pretty well. Now, there may be a scenario in which you'll have to work with multiple conditions to choose from. And in that scenario, the statements need to be used, right? So in shell scripting, you can actually use three types of if-else statements. So there are if-fi statement, if-else fi statement, if-else else fi statement. So actually, we need to swivel over to the Kali Linux. Bear with me a moment. Probably fast forward it to this part anyway. So, all right, perfect. So it's just using the touch command to create the file that's going to be used for the if-else script. So now we're just going to do this here. Again, another command I've used before. All right, perfect. So it just executed to change the file to an executable file. So now we're just going to this, right, insert. So I'm going to insert a few things, so bear with me a moment. Just over the way I could kind of like forward this part. It. Let's see here. Here. All right, so let's take a look, make sure everything looks good. And I am satisfied. So let's go up here. All right, perfect. So did I type right? Yeah, I'm fine. So let's take a look in here. Awesome. All right, so let's try here. I'm seeing it. I love it. All right, so one thing I also want to touch on right now, an if else bash script can be used to set different variables. So, for example, when a user tries to like log in and to validate their credentials, but something to also touch on as far as automated courses of action. Right? So, kind of mentioned earlier as far as scripting, and it helps an administrator automate certain actions, right, that they would perform manually. So scripting usually requires programming knowledge, at least to some extent, but it serves various benefits. I myself, I like bash scripting. I do some Python as far as some automation, and I'll have videos done on touching on that as well as far as automation. What is Python typically used for, and how Python can be used, particularly in cybersecurity, to automate tasks like what we mentioned with the automating scripts or bash scripting, at least in this case. Right. So some of the key benefits typically are just the output, like no matter how often you run the script, you get the same output because the code remains static, right? Speed. So the script to cut it down to a few minutes, right? For the tasks that you can manually might accomplish, it may take you an hour. Productivity. I mean, that's, you know, within itself as far as that word, right? You automate something that brings additional productivity, right? So cost, you save time, you save money. Long story short, errors, manually doing a task can sometimes lead to errors for human, but different individuals also have different results versus a machine that's being commanded to run the same continuous thing every time. So we could talk about in another video, continuous monitoring, continuous validation, continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment, scalability, elasticity, version control, and a host of other items. But this is the end of this video for application hardening deployment techniques. It was actually quite fun. I actually don't mind setting up the automations and scripting as well as a bit of programming. I can't wait till I get to do a video on that. But just for a brief recap for this video, we went over some using if-else statements, and we also did a bit of bash scripting as well. And on our next video, we're going to actually go over, let me take a look here, application and host hardening techniques. So that should be fun, and I'll see you guys over there.